Hey YouTube, this is Accyrsed. I'm bringing you a quick update. I've been working on the Elsword model rigger to an extreme extent over the past few days, and now I want to push it up from version 1 to a version 2. I have significant reason for saying that. The old rigger required me to manually input every action. This one is a bit different. This one moves from 280 something kilobytes 280 something kilobytes uncompiled to about, what is it, 12 now. So I'm going to go ahead and just run the development version of the model rigger. When it opens, it's a bit different. There are scripts and a delay overrider and then some information to the right. Currently, this isn't going to do anything because we don't have any scripts. So I'm just going to cancel that and close that out and open up the compiler. It's going to start with the basic script thing right here. Give it a delay of 100, and these are all the commands that can be done. So I'm just going to call it a vid script for the name of the script. I'm just going to give it that for a creator name. Version 1.0, and then model, let's just say any. Normally you would put the character's name inside the model, but it doesn't really matter, so I'm just going to ignore that for now. Locked determines the password. So if I were to enter anything other than false, it would require that password upon editing the script. The script cannot be edited unless you use the compiler. You must use the compiler to edit the script. But it does run if it has a password, it will run inside the rigger, it just won't open in the compiler. So for example, I can show that right now. I'm going to first of all save this as test.pkgdat until I come up with a better file extension. It's package data. It's essentially a bunch of packaged data. It's kind of maybe way too complicated in a file extension, way too basic compared to what it does, but whatever. I'm just going to give it the password of password, and then I'm just going to give it like a dash unlock. So now I'm going to save it as test package data. You notice it saved somewhere in here. Yeah, here we go. Test package data. So if I go over under the to script, I'm just going to clear it from here. And I'm going to try loading test package data. It's locked, enter the password. So password unlock. Okay, and now it opened. However, if this was not there, and I try to load it, and let's just say I made a typo and said password on, the password's incorrect, it doesn't open. You can only open it that way. I'm going to prove that it can only be opened via the compiler. If you open it otherwise, you get this. That's what the program reads. It's intentionally like that, so I'm now going to load it and clear the password before I forget what it is. To clear it, you just replace that with false. So now if I just now resave that as test, like 2.package data, and now save it, test 2, clear it. Because it says false, if I hit load, it just loads immediately. So on that note, I'm going to delete test 1 and test 2, go back over here and reload the compiler, and I'm going to explain how this stuff actually works. I'm going to type in what it was before. Okay. These go by specific commands and then parameters of each command. Most of these actually work. For example, running the command tab.info will select the info tab, tab.mesh will do the mesh tab, tab.bone will do the bone tab, and so on and so forth. The only command in this top section that doesn't work currently is bone.all. It may or may not work, but I haven't actually tested it, so I'm just going to say it doesn't work. Bone.select will select the bone.coordinates, that's the XYZ, from left to right. Maybe they're not labeled XYZ in the program, but that's what I was assuming they were. Bone.visible, this one was a pain to code up. If you do bone.visible on and the bone is already visible, it won't do anything. But if it's off, it will turn it on. And likewise, if you do bone.visible off and the bone's on, it turns it off. But if the bone's already off, it doesn't touch it. While in the previous program, if the bone, like in the version 1 point something, it would just toggle the thing no matter what. So if I made a mistake in the script, it would turn bones off that it wasn't supposed to. Bone.parent and draw. Parent's what it's attached to. Draw is what it does the line to. And then if you do bone.ik, it does not set an ik, it clears the ik and turns it off. Which, essentially, if you did ik 0 with a bone being off, you could turn a bone into an ik, because it would clear 0 iks from the chain and then toggle it. I have not set this one to on-off, so it doesn't always turn off. It will toggle when you use it. Properties are also quite important, although I kind of did forget to put one inside the little thing, but it's a work in progress. If you put the octothorpe and then delay, you can set a delay between actions of the rigger. For example, if you were to do tab.info and then tab.bone, it would wait 1/10 of a second before it swaps to the tabs, but if you have a delay of 0, or just delay gone in general, it will complete the actions nearly simultaneously, which means on a fast computer that can handle the mouse flying around the screen ridiculously quickly, you could do a delay of 0, which is why I have certain things inside the actual rigger. But I'm going to delay back to 100, and I'm just going to set up some info. So put the octothorpe and then info. This designates one line of info. So I'm going to make use of some of these values. So user model is the input for the model. So if I put the $sign and then user model, and then if I'm going to put a parenthesis and then do script model. So it takes the user input of what the user said, and then the user, or not the user, what the script does, which is up here, which would be any. So if I entered like pi for the model set, it would say pi and then parentheses any. And then ripped and rigged by, and then I'm just going to say username. I'm going to make a second line of info, and I'm going to leave it blank. This can either be done just by doing that or putting a space after it. It doesn't make a difference. I'm going to do another one, and I'm just going to add in, like, put the script name in this. Script name. I'm going to add that. I'm just going to say made by. I'm just testing out all these variables. It doesn't have to be this way. It can be done any way the script creator wants. You do have to designate the octothorpe info at the beginning of every info line. Leaving one blank will skip a line in the description. There's no point, or you don't need to credit the auto rigger for this, because the auto rigger throws it in no matter what. So I left that in there. If any of you saw the original, it just says ripped and rigged by that, and then puts the little thing below it. But now there's a chance to do this. A little bit of extra stuff. Like, some of them are short, like script auth is the script auth, or script var is the version, but mostly they're the same. I just didn't feel like writing the entirety of it out, and it makes it a little bit easier. So I'm going to make one more line and just do intended for, I'm just going to throw script model in there. Oops. So, I mean, I know it says all, so intended for all models, but if it was like Eve or something, it'd say intended for Eve models. It doesn't really matter, but let's see. Now I'm going to make sure I save this. Just going to do test, and then I'm going to save it. It's locked false, and it still remains there. Like, if you save something that's locked, it will remain open until you close it, and you have to re-enter the password. Yeah, I see no point in reloading that, but anyway, I'm going to now go over the generics of this. So I'm going to select the info tab, and then I'm going to do info.name, which is just a generic, it's this format here is exactly what it is, that's it. Then if I do info.write, it will take this info chunk, write it in the description right here, replacing all these values with their equivalent property things, and typing out that little final part. The only issue is I have not managed to make it swap that yet. It's an easy fix, I just haven't got around to it yet. So currently it only writes in this, not that. So I'm now going to select the bone tab. It doesn't matter when there's spaces between the lines, it just does the actions anyway. And there's no delay when you put more lines than others, so it really doesn't matter. It's just separate them as you wish. If you want to make a comment, like if you wanted to do like that, like test a script or something without something happening, you put a slash in front of it and it won't do anything. It kind of just nullifies it. So now I'm going to select the bone 0, and I'm just going to now set its coordinates to like 0, 2, and 4. I'm going to set its parent. Actually, I can't. It's bone 0. I'm going to set its draw to bone 2. And then I'm just going to say bone.visible off. And then if I, actually, just to prove a point, I'm going to say bone.visible on. And then I'm going to do that the very first. Oops. Apparently that doesn't work. So it's already gonna be on, but I'm gonna turn it on forcefully. And then I'm gonna turn it off. I'm going to, oops, would help if I did that after bone select 0. Otherwise it won't be doing anything. I'm now going to be working with bone select 1 or something. I'm just gonna do bone draw 0 and then bone parent 0 or something like that. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to select 2, and then bone draws to 1, bone dot coordinates. I'm just going to say like 0, 3, and 7. So at this point now 0 is drawing to 2, 2 is drawing to 1, 1 is drawing to 0, and it doesn't really matter the parent or something. I'm just going to set the bone dot parent to 1. It doesn't matter the order at which these will like what it does. And that's essentially all that would really be necessary. I'm just going to prove that the other tabs work. I'm going to change the delay mid-script to 1000, which is a full second. And then I'm going to do the tabs. Currently, these are the only tabs that can be done. Right now, it only works with there can't be an S, like you can't do tab.physics, it has to be tab.physic. There's no tab.physics, but bone.coordinates, not coordinate. It's a little picky. I'll eventually get to making it less. But right now this is in development version. I'm not officially releasing it just yet. So now if I were to go to save this as test rig.package data, save it. Now there's 2 here. If I load the other one, you'll see that it only has the info because that's where we saved it. But if I load the test rig, it has everything. It keeps track of everything. It just makes it a bit more complicated when it makes it its long thing. But it reads it this way, so whatever works. So now I don't need the compiler. The compiler saved it, so I don't need it. Open up the rigger. Now if you look, the 2 scripts that I've written show up here. I'm going to select test rig. It updates by reloading the thing and showing the information over here. I'm going to intentionally no, I'm not going to override the script delay. But I can override it with up to 1 second between actions. 1 second between actions is a lot. About 1/10 of a second is decent, and 1/20 of a second is also pretty good. Anything lower than that might be a little too quick, but 0.025 is essentially the bare minimum for my computer, I can guarantee that. That's what the program, the other one, was using, although it wasn't using it specifically written into the code. It was just delays because it wasn't running off of line code, it was running off of typed. So I'm going to ignore the override script delay. I'm going to just pull these up, and I'm going to make sure that I have the 3 bones inside the bone tab. Well, it's not responding. Oh. Oh, yeah. Wrong tab anyway. I don't remember how to do this. Oh, okay. There. So it doesn't really matter that this is that. If we look over here, there are 3 bones. I'm just going to turn the camera so it makes it easier to see. I'm going to go open up to the rigger and just click OK. So I'm just going to say my name is that, and then the model is test for upload. I'm just going to hit OK. It's going to activate that window, run through the information, run through the data, and show you that it can go through all the tabs. And if you notice, these last actions were about a second apart. Well, it did everything else really quickly. And if you look in here, well, part of it messed up. As you can see, it spit out 2 instances of this. I don't know what just happened. Okay. Yeah, that's a bug. I'll look into that at some other point. But if you look, the coordinates in the script were, I'm going to open the compiler so I can read it directly. The coordinates for the first bone, it was these. So let's compare the coordinates. It ran, okay, it's a little off, 0, 2, and 2. 0, 3, and 7 ran correct. Oh, yeah, no, the issue with the draw messed up. That's what happened. It was setting like the parent and the other stuff. Whoops. So I'm going to quickly run that again because that was me. That was my not paying attention. So I'm going to clear the name for in there. Now if I'll pull that up once this finishes. So now if you look, now it's 0, 2, 4 with -1. That remains 0 because it was 0 before. But yeah, now it's 0, 1, 2. So now if I pull up the viewer, it makes this little thing. And if I look at the invisible bone, it turned it off. If you notice, the bone was turned off multiple occasions, but it never actually turned it off a second time, which would turn it back on. Yeah, so I mean, this is essentially what it does. It's not perfect, especially when it comes to the description. I'm currently working on that. It's kind of frustrating how it doesn't actually react, but the bones and all that work fine, so long as the upper selection is chosen. Yeah, that's the only important thing. Usually any imported models that you'd be working with, especially for like the purposes of the what the rigger was intended for, these will already all be selected, which is why I didn't think to select them. Anyway, that's pretty much about it. I'm just gonna, yeah, it doesn't. When you select that, it doesn't actually like clear the V next to version. I'm gonna work on that. It'll get there eventually. That's pretty much about it. I'm just gonna quit this, and so that is the version 2.0 of the Elsword model rigger. It's a bit more complicated than the other one, as it requires manual writing of scripts instead of compiling or writing them into the program in the first place. The advantage of this is the files take up significantly less space, I think. And not to mention, if, like, for example, one of you watching right now wanted to make a script for a character that wasn't programmed, you could. And then you could lock it and redistribute it to the community. Nobody could edit it and steal your work as your own, but it would essentially allow you to put a script out there for this that didn't actually exist. Currently, there is not like a physical lack of bugs in this. There's quite a bit, so this is not one of those ones I'm releasing to the public just yet, but this is just a preview video to show all of you and those who want to help development test this, the program itself. This is one of those programs where I'm not sure I'm going to accept random requests to be a development tester for this. I mean, you can ask, but I probably won't say yes unless I have legitimate reason to believe that it's going to be fine. There are a select few people who I am putting forward at least the chance to development test this, and if I get back no from all of them, I may put this out towards a more public test, but until then, it probably won't be too long before a release anyway. That's about it. I haven't actually built a script for this yet because I, no joke, finished compiling this at like 1 in the morning. So it's been only over a little bit over half a day since I completed this. So, thanks for watching, and I'll be back with more updates soon. Until then, yeah. I'm hoping to get something out for this again soon. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon with more.